Men of Reddit, what's the most pathetic / ridiculous thing another man has done in attempt to assert his dominance over you? I always feel like the guys who refuse to make room for you when walking by in the other direction are trying to assert their dominance and make themselves feel like hot shit. I never understand why people do that. I figured out the best way to handle this when I was in college and the sidewalks were narrow. Just stop walking and stand still. Now they're the only ones walking and have to go out of their way to avoid you instead of them expecting you to move. Worked as a lifeguard at a summer camp years ago. During safety training we had to do a missing person search which required all available staff to join hands and walk from the beach to into the water as far as we could while feeling with our feet for the missing swimmer. During training there was a sandbag we had to find. The guy next to me kept insisting on holding mine in a certain way because I will take the upper hand in this situation. Said at me while staring me down. Whatever, dude. We're theoretically looking for a drowned child right now. I used to tend bar in Milwaukee, and there is nothing that triggers self-conscious sweetness more than seeing someone drinking something they don't like. I cannot tell you how many arguments began with some dude, always unsolicited / unprovoked, mind you, feeling compelled to judge and educate other guys about what they're drinking or not drinking. You drink that piss, you pussy, and it goes downhill from there. No one cares. Drink what you like and shut up. Literally last weekend some really drunk dude who I had never once met or interacted with tried to fight me to impress the girls he was with. It was completely ridiculous, and his way of trying to initiate it was just repeatedly body checking me on the dance floor, which I ignored because I thought he was just being drunk and dumb. Turns out one of his friends had to stop him from blindsiding me with a sucker punch to the face, assuming he was able to aim that well. Some people do not mix well with alcohol apparently. My husband is a tall dude and told me that while in university, he constantly had guys try to pick fights with him at the bar. It was like they found the biggest guy there and was like, yep, I'm going to beat him up. I was once at a bar and a guy tried to start a fight with me literally because I made eye contact with him for half a second. His friends pulled him back, but I couldn't believe it in the moment. How insecure / violent do you have to be that eye contact is all it takes to set you off? People who use alcohol as an excuse for their violent behavior are just assholes who are violent. I drink a lot, have for years, and sure I've gotten mad whilst drunk before, but it's never once made me try to fight anyone / take a swing at anyone. I hate it when people use that excuse. Sorry, I was just drunk. I know. You were looking for a fight because you're an asshole. I was visiting my friend at his university. He was a bigger athletic, and while I was pretty fit at the time, I'm relatively short. But this random guy outside a McDonald's just sucker punched my friend in the face out of nowhere. My friend got super pissed, but I restrained and put myself between my friend and the asshole. And while I was calming my friend down saying it's not worth it, the asshole punched me right in the ear. At that point cops rolled up, said they saw the whole thing and arrested him. A coworker of mine starts picking fights when drunk. It was always funny because we could easily just push him away until the time he took a knife and charged against another coworker. I was there and luckily I managed, with some help, to take the knife from him, but it could have easily ended in a tragedy. So yeah, some people do not mix well with alcohol. I was walking into a party in college and a guy immediately tried to fight me. I'm not a fighter, so I immediately de-escalated the situation and got him to calm down so I could continue flirting with this girl I had come to the party with. About 30 minutes later I was dancing with her on the other side of the party when out of nowhere he runs across the living room and headbutts me in the stomach and runs off. It happened so fast that the girl I was dancing with hadn't even realized what had happened. No idea what he was on, but it was wild. Same thing happened to me at a party in college. Me and my ex were playing him and some girl he was trying to impress. He was drunk and on Molly. My elbow crossed over the table in a game of beer pong. and he flipped his shit and told me to get out of his house and yelling at me telling me he will fight me. It wasn't his house and the girl wasn't impressed. We decided to just leave and she came up to us and told us he was being an asshole and she also left. Nice going douche. Also the cops showed up right after we left and arrested the dude. Good night. This happened over D&D when my friend, who owns a store, let these guys we didn't know that well to join our campaign. I don't know why I, out of the table, got singled out, but a girl walks in and this guy complained that I didn't order pizza for him, said how about you go fuck yourself when I asked him if he wanted some, walked over behind me and playfully puts his arms around my neck. I told him I'd punch him in the face if he did it one more time because I don't know who the he is. Absolutely ruined my day. I was standing in the breezeway outside a friend's apartment while in college, and a guy coming down the stairs from an upper floor kinda tripped near the bottom of the stairs and stumbled into me. It was clear he super drunk and immediately got aggressive. He was so worked up about being tougher than me for some reason that he started doing push-ups at me while me and my friends just laughed. Fortunately his friends came and apologized and took him back upstairs, but it was definitely the most bizarre assertion of dominance I've ever encountered. A friend tried to make himself look good in front of his crush by literally putting me in a random chokehold for a laugh. Turns out it was because I was talking to her. I had a girlfriend at the time. We were just talking. It wasn't a chokehold though. It was basically just a headlock, so I decided to correct him. I was fairly oblivious and didn't realize this was a failed alpha move. Creeped the shit out of his crush that he would do that out of nowhere, and she stopped talking to him. Apparently she quite liked him up until that point, so he kinda shot himself in the foot. Was out having a drink. Started chatting to the guy next to me when I learn he too is a musician. He then tells me you're not a musician. I find it offensive when people tell me they're a musician when they haven't put in the time and dedication that I have. Okay dude, come down off your ego trip. Christ. Talked about the MBA program at his alma mater was superior to where I was getting my MBA. For clarification, he doesn't have and isn't working on an MBA, but wanted to be sure I knew he was better because he went to a school with a perceived better program. I had someone stand on their tippy toes to seem taller when we were talking. So when I was in the 8th grade there was this one kid who hated me for no reason. I was really big for my age, so there was no way this 5 feet 1 inch guy was going to fight me. So he did something so cringy I have no idea what he was going for. I was sitting at lunch with my friends, and this kid walks up to us and spits in my glass of milk and says in a very commanding tone, "Drink." I just stood up and the kid bolted. Got a good laugh out of it with my friend though. Edit. To all asking what it tasted like, I did not drink the milk. Edit 2. The kid bolted because he was a huge pussy, never wanting to get in trouble. I'm not flexing by saying that. You just reminded me of the time in high school a freshman sitting across from me. I was a senior. Decided that bothering me was his ticket to alpha status or something. One day, at lunch, he threw a curly fry into my drink and asked me what I was gonna do about it. He had just gotten back from the snack bar with a couple cookies and an unopened bottle of soda, so I just reached over and took those. I didn't really like the soda and only wanted one cookie, so I doled the rest out to my friends. He just laughed nervously. Once I realized he wasn't going to do anything about it, I thanked him for the cookies. When asked about what his hobbies are, he responded with hobbies are for children and single women. I work. In junior high I remember this one bully that would get on his tiptoes and bow out his chest like a gorilla and get all in your face whenever he felt threatened. It was such a funny stereotype maneuver. We once had a candidate come into the interview and legit say he wanted to sit behind the desk because he was going to be asking the questions to decide if he wanted to work with us. I think he'd gotten some bad advice about having confidence. I laughed but our manager flipped her shit. The only time I have ever seen her call security. Was on a 4-hour flight. In a 2-person row. The guy demanded to have full access to the middle armrest. Would push my arm off it if I ever got near it. I was walking to my car after school and this guy getting in his car just yells at me, "You ugly as bro." I flipped him off without even looking at him and he yelled bitch and drove off. How petty do you have to be to tell someone minding their own business that they're ugly? Had a dude get mad at me for talking to his girl all the time. I was her economics tutor. One guy I know tried to get everyone to whip out their dicks and compare sizes, and honestly it came across as one of the most insecure and childish efforts to assert dominance ever, because dick size has nothing to do with dominance. Also, this is the guy, when we were getting a house, insisted we've all gotta be equals, despite always trying to run things. A guy was mad at me while sitting at a light and was revving his engine. It sounded like he held it at the red line, and there was a big crack sound and smoke started coming out of the front of his car. The dummy blew his engine. My neighbor in front of I'm a guy house had a boyfriend that would literally rip his shirt off and come outside every single time I was in my front yard. It could be 7 AM or midnight, but it wouldn't matter to him. I could be walking to my car, and here comes Mr. Globber Jim flexing all around his yard. He would immediately go back inside when I went back inside. This went on for almost half a year until one day I saw him hop into his mega lifted truck and drive away, never to be seen again. He did have pretty sweet pecs though. The overly firm handshake is always annoying. I'm not a freak show of strength, but I have a good enough grip that I can get them to back off. Not letting go of a handshake. It's happened a few times and always makes me wanna treat it as a hostile action. Last time it happened I just started caressing their hand with my finger and the guy jerked away. I winked at him after. Edit. Thanks for the silver and all the make it sexually awkward suggestions, strangers.